This will be her second appearance on the show.
Oh, let me.
Whoops.
You,
Kill my self view.
hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I had to mute you. I had
Mute
to
the
mute you here so I
mute
could
the
hear you here.
yeah, got to mute that YouTube video.
I know. Well, I was busy watching you talk to Raven, so
Cynthia, how the heck are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am just fine. It's so good to see you on the show. I mean, what was it, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But
Awesome.
I saw your topic for tonight, and I just got home, so I thought I'd pop in.
Well, that begs the question: what did Cynthia want to be when she was growing up?
Well, it's funny. I just caught the tail end when I first came on of you saying something about wanting to be an archaeologist.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that is what I desperately wanted to be from the time I was about 6 years old.
Really?
Yeah. And I can tell you why, but I wanted to do it, but I didn't take it seriously enough. And my parents were, they grew up in the Bronx. They came up from nothing. What did they didn't know from archaeology.
Right.
But when I was a little girl, and I grew up in New York City, and I don't live far from the city now, but I grew up in New York City, and I spent a lot of time at the Museum of Natural History. Still one of my most favorite places on earth.
Yeah.
Bones, digs, and they brought the King Tut.
The exhibit?
The exhibit came when I was a little girl. I remember they actually had the walls up from the tomb, and I remember walking around those walls and touching them back in the day when you could, trust human beings to touch relics.
Yeah.
Unlike today.
Days are gone.
I was a little girl and I got to touch them, and I started for me a love of ancient Egypt, and then I wanted to be an archaeologist for the longest time, way before what were those movies?
The Indiana Jones movies. Yeah. The Raiders movies.
Way before Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah.
For years, I as a little girl, I had 3 sets of encyclopedias. One was a science set, and 2 were regular. and if I had a question, I went and I looked it up in my encyclopedias. So, and I'm still an information junkie to this day. And I would pore over these books and these stories, and then I'd ask more questions, and my parents would go, get the encyclopedia. We don't know. We're from the Bronx. We don't know. And I wanted to, but then as I got older, and you're going to high school and you're thinking about going to college and you're thinking for real about a career. And it was like, well, you're not that good at science.
Why? Was that what killed it for you? Because I really wanted to know.
And the reality of it is that bless the archaeologists and the ones that get to go with the brush and the spoon and dig up the bones, bless their hearts, but they spend most of the year trying to get funding to do that, and then a little bit of time if they are lucky enough to get on a dig. So I would have been terrible at that. I've not been a good fundraiser. And if you be an archaeologist and not have to wait tables, you have to be a good fundraiser. So it was probably a blessing. So I went to college thinking I was going to be a writer.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you had aspirations.
I still have aspirations of being a writer.
Well, that is one occupation that knows no age, right?
Thankfully.
Yeah. I mean, it takes time, but if you want to play football, you get a window. If you want to be a writer, your window's a bit bigger than that.
That's right. Well, I am writing a book, but I've been writing it now. I'm trying to get back to it now after a couple of years. Just what happened was I got a block. I decided that even though I have a full synopsis of the whole book. It's 25% written. I know where it's going pretty much. I have to work on the mythology a little bit. But I convinced myself that nobody would like it, that nobody cares. There's no deadlines. Nobody is waiting on it. So I've just scared myself into not writing, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's the lack of urgency, whether it's internal or external, is a killer, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that all too well. I've got 1,000 projects and hobbies, that have suffered or fallen to that exact same scenario.
Well, I've promised to myself that 2020 will be the year I finish it. And my husband said, just finish the book. We'll self-publish it. Who doesn't matter. And I'm now have decided that I'm going to finish it, even if my mother and my husband are the only people who ever read it. I'm going to finish this book. So I'm going to do that.
I love the goal. I absolutely love the goal. If I had anything to add to that, I would say put it in big block letters and put it on your fridge so you see it every day.
I know, and it's funny because when I was working on it, I really enjoyed it. You know, to me, it's an interesting book. It's an interesting story, and all the facets of it are interesting. But and I'm about to turn 59 years old. When you're my age, and you can still convince yourself that you fear failure, it's a bummer. Man, I shouldn't be fearing failure at this point. You know, I have a successful career, I have a home, I have a family, but so I write a crappy book.
Exactly.
I should finish it.
Exactly. The worst thing you can do is be your own judge. You know, it's like you do what you want to do, and you know, if you're happy with it, you know, you're the only one that gets taken to the grave.
Yeah,
am I right?
You know, and I know that if I don't finish this book, it will be my life's biggest regret.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of that weighing on me.
Yeah.
It weighs on me. It's terrible. And it's my own fault.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'm pulling for you, Cynthia. I want to see you. And yeah, man, you really, you're in an advantage now because we're in a day and age where self-publishing is very easy. Self-promotion of the same is so much easier and more profitable in many cases.
People that I know that have published, and I know a few, some very successful, some, you know, have a modicum of success. Even if for most people, a publishing house picks it up, you still have to do your own marketing. It's a new world. It's not like, oh, they're going to publish my book and they're just going to tell me where to go to do book signings.
Yeah, nope.
Not like that anymore. You've got to do all the social media. You have to do it yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know what? I'm going to worry about that when I write the 2 words, the end. Because as much as I want to be a writer, I want to have written.
Oh, David, the producer in the chat says, have Cynthia send me a note. I can connect her to quite a few publishers. There you go.
I appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. I will do that. I honestly, at some point, I would love to have somebody say, we like this book. Now go finish it or else. That would be the best thing for me. And I've already told my husband I need to go away somewhere for 2 weeks and I will finish it. Just let me go somewhere where there's not somebody to make dinner for or this or that. There's always a million other things to do and it's terrible. I just need to be alone with my laptop and my stuff and finish it. So
yeah, there's nothing like an advance and a deadline to motivate you.
I would love to have somebody, you know, I would love to have somebody pressuring me.
Oh, I get it. I totally get it.
It would help.
Yes.
I really think it would help.
I would agree. A lot of, I mean, especially when there's you're not looking at this as, well, to put food on the table, right? So that pressure is actually way off and it's probably part of the block. It's like, well, I don't have to finish this. So I don't have to come up with those ideas. You know what I mean?
Nobody cares. And I'll be right with you, honey. My husband.
Tell him we said howdy.
Waving to me from the hallway.
So the video calling show says hello.
Nobody cares but me right now.
Yeah.
And that's the problem because for the past couple of years, I haven't been enough.
Have you ever watched the TED Talk on procrastination? I know this is kind of an odd segue, but
I don't know, but I love the TED Talks. Oh man, they're so good.
Just do a quick search. Yeah, do a quick search on TED Talks, procrastination. The guy is a career procrastinator, and it's a really good talk. Good talk.
I will look that up because some of those are so Good.
Yeah, I learned a lot about myself.
That can be frightening.
It is, really. Actually, he actually gives you a couple characters to blame it on. No more, because otherwise it'd be a spoiler alert. So.
Okay, I will look it up. Okay.
Oh, and always remember that fear itself is harmless. I've said this 1,000 times. Fear itself is harmless, but the fear of failure kills.
It's so, and I'm really surprised myself, because when my children were young, they had this issue where, like, I don't remember if it was my son or my daughter, they'd go in and take a test, and if they got to a question they didn't know the answer to, they would just put their pencil down and stop. And the teacher would tell us this. I'm like, they did what? Like, skip it.
Yes.
Go on.
Come back to it.
It's just come back to it. Yes.
When in doubt, choose C.
But it was crazy. So I racked my brains. I'm like, what have I done to my children to cause them to have this fear that they would just stop dead and just look at the rest of the page as empty and think, this is a good idea. I'm going to just stop.
Did you ever figure it out?
I don't even remember.
Oh, man.
My children are in their 20s now.
Yeah.
They survived me and my husband. They survived. And they...
Well, that's a badge of honor in and itself.
The fear of failure, and that's what it was. Oh. We had to teach them, and it was quite a lesson to teach them, like, look, because they thought if they didn't do it right the first time, there was something wrong with them. Like, what are you talking about? We learn by doing things wrong.
Yes.
Nobody does something right the first time unless they're a savant. I mean, that's a rare thing. There's some things you can do right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you can drink a cup of water. Well, even that,
Yeah.
That doesn't work. It doesn't work the first time either, but they didn't remember that. So we had to teach them. We fail, and then we pick ourselves up, and we're better at it the next time we try it, And
Exactly.
It was, that was great. That was crazy. And so I am floored by the fact that I did this to myself. I'm like, I'm so angry at myself. Like, what is the matter with you? What is the matter with you? So I think sometimes I'm just going to write the rest of the book like in crayon, like,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever it is, and then I'll edit it. Just finish it, just to get to that the end.
Imagine the weight that will be lifted off your shoulders.
I know. I mean, writing. Have you written any books or anything?
Well, I've written poetry. I've written some songs, which I see as a cool. Completely different art form.
It is. I am not a poet. I mean, for a writing class one time, we had to write a poem, and I think I wrote a haiku.
Oh, yeah.
And I was actually really proud of it. All those 3 little lines. I'm not a poet, and I know it.
Yeah.
But when you're writing, you write. And I was in a critique group for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were wonderful. And it helped me get as far as I did with the book. You'll write. But we had one guy that would come to the group. And every week he rewrote the same chapter.
Really?
For like 10 weeks. He would read us. And he said, okay, we were like, okay, read us your 25 pages tonight. Oh, okay. And then it'd be like, oh, no. It's the same chapter. Wait, it's better now. Oh. I swear to you, for 10 weeks, he rewrote the same chapter over and over again, which is very easy to do because you write it and you're like, I have to fix it now. But I think the better thing to do is just write it all.
Yes.
Then go back and fix it.
And you've even got to limit that because we all have a certain sense of OCD. Yeah. And if you allow that to get in your way, it will get in your way.
Right. And eventually, whomever you have edited for you is going to do that anyway.
Yes.
They're going to take out all the little words.
But they can be objective.
Every time you say the word "at" or "had," it's all going to come.
Yes. But like I said, they can be objective, and we can't. Not when it's our baby. Nope.
But that's really scary. But they used to say it's like giving your baby to someone. In the critique group, the author that was running the group used to say it's like giving your baby to someone. I said, no, it's not. It's like them taking your baby and then whacking it against the wall a couple of times and giving it back to you. I said, I don't want my baby to go through that.
Well, here, pro tip, keep a copy of your baby. Give them a copy and then take what they give you that you want to take and forget the rest.
I actually look forward to that day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I look forward to actually having another human being besides my husband read it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because he's only partially objective.
Although he kind of crosses his eyes a little bit. It's a scary story with a little bit of humor and a little bit of adult situations, and so
even better. I can't wait to read it.
So
I can't wait to read it.
Me too.
Well, Cynthia, I'd like to talk to you more about this actually, and go back to the other subject as well, because we have that same sort of same aspirations when we were growing up. Our paths were a little bit different, but man, they were close. They were very, very close. Yeah, and we got off on the book, which is great, and I was serious about wanting to read it, but no, that's fine. But yeah,
that's my second thing I wish I want to be, though.
Yes, I'm with you there. I don't have a list long enough for all the ones I've wanted to be, so I'll leave it at that.
That's great.
Well, it's always a good time talking to you, and I appreciate you coming up and sharing that with me. And keep us apprised on that book, will you?
I will actually. I have a second streaming channel that I've set up where I'm going to start doing my streams, and it's not just going to be about my regular topic. I'm going to be doing streams. I figured if I do streams about the process, maybe that will help me continue the process. So,
well,
but I'll definitely let you know.
And I'll try to help too. Maybe once a month when I see you in the chat, I'll just poke you.
How's that book?
How's that book coming? No, I don't want to be an annoyance.
Well, it's been wonderful. Thanks for having me up.
You bet. Take care, hon.
Take care.